Okay. Now, what happened to my? Go find my slides again. There we go. Have you been pretty busy?
Yeah, we're working on new software for our product. So we are building our own website builder, like our own version of Squarespace or Wix.
Uh-huh.
And so our team is pretty small, so we're kind of holding off. We've been doing web design projects and we've paused on those so we can focus on the software.
I
So
see.
it's been busy, but in a different way than we're used to.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, every software seems to have its own issues too.
Yeah.
uh, I know some people love WordPress, some people hate it,
Mm,
everybody, I think it's all in what you get used to and perhaps
exactly.
what you get trained on, and some of the tutorials are very good and some of them are pretty rotten. So
Yeah.
that has a lot to do with it.
Yep. I hate answering the question, what's the best website builder? What do you think of Squarespace or Wix? It's like, well, for one thing, I'm not very impartial because we obviously have our own. So I generally tell people, it's whatever feels intuitive to you to work with. Like,
Yeah. I have a client that's working with, I'm not sure, I assume they're using WordPress. I don't know if you're familiar with ECDI and the Women's Business Center.
I'm
Um,
not.
okay. The Women's Business Center um, has a membership fee of $80, and then they help clients actually build their websites and so forth.
Mm,
Um, they give a 6 weeks course on building a website, and one of my clients has signed up with them, and I what I see as far as her website, I think you have to be a little bit techie in order to work with them because she's really having all kinds of problems. But I sense that she's not all that techie.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think in that case, probably easier to have someone else build your website if you really don't have the skill level.
Yeah. We're
Otherwise,
trying
it
to
just takes
Yeah, we're
forever.
trying to make ours so that you would sign up and start answering questions
Hmm.
about your business and your website would come together based on the answers
Yeah.
to the questions. And then you could, customize it and things like that. But
I did see
because
that on your website, and I think that's probably a good way to go. I love the little workbook that you have that has all the components,
yeah.
because I think what happens with so many people, they just don't think broadly enough,
Hmm.
and they have somebody build a website for them, and then it doesn't work because it doesn't have all the features that they need. Uh,
Yeah.
and then they complain because they have to go and pay more money. And I tell them if you did it right the first time,
Mm.
would
Yeah.
save you time and money.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think a lot of people are just, they don't want to take the time to think through what they really need.
Hmm.
Or they just aren't aware of what they really need until they get into the weeds.
Yep.
So it's
It's
a
very
challenge.
true.
I'm amazed at how few people actually do when they're planning a business, how limited they are in their thinking when it comes to long-term strategies. You know, they don't think about what do I really want this business to be like in 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
And then how do I work towards that? And instead they're just, you know, wanting to get it up and running, but don't have any long-term plans.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. Like people start their business, they'll get their website up, but they don't like have a marketing plan to go with their website, you know?
Right.
And they think, well, my website's online and people should be able to get to it and then they should just sign up and it
Yep.
just
So,
and I
yeah.
actually touch on this in my webinar a little bit because they just find
Yeah.
themselves so frustrated. And I think it's because there's a lot of bad information out there that makes people feel that if they just have good enough SEO or if their website is that impressive, you know, it's gonna just magically.
Yeah. They don't think they're one of billions of websites.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about it, they just don't recognize the competition that
Yep.
they're entering. So, yeah, but they learn,
Yep.
or they go out of business, one or the other. And I think that's why so many small businesses fail. It's aside from the lack of experience of the owner, it's just short-sightedness in their thinking and not and lack of awareness. I'm sure you have clients who say, well, I don't really have any competitors. So like, how can
Yeah.
you possibly say that? You know, someone who comes with some unique type of wearing apparel and says, I don't have any competitors. Well, you know, people can wear anything. So
Yeah.
maybe all of those people are your competitors, but they don't think. And the other thing, they come up with a financial plan, but it isn't tied to their marketing plan. So
Yep.
those
Gotta
little
have a
things
marketing
like
plan.
that.
Gotta have a
So,
marketing plan. And unfortunately, when it comes to budgeting, it tends to be low on the list. So
yeah. Yes, I think a lot of people think once they have their website up, they're gold. And they just
Mhm.
don't understand that they got to figure out a way to drive people there. And marketing is a real challenge. You know, the marketing message, also
Mhm.
I have clients who say, you know, I want to sell to everybody. Well, you know, can't give an 18-year-old the same message that you have for an 80-year-old. It just
Mhm.
doesn't quite work that way. But so again, just lack of experience. So anyway, I think I will open it up for us to get started. I'm assuming people are coming to watch on their lunch hour, so give them a chance to get started. I think we had 50 some people signed up for the website. So we'll see how many show up. I sent them all a text at 11:45.
Hmm.
Just a reminder text. And I think sometimes that seems to help. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how much it helps. I think people get so bombarded with emails and texts these days that they
Yes.
become numb. Okay, so Good afternoon to those of you who are just joining us. We're delighted that you've chosen to spend your lunch hour with us. And I think you're going to find that it's well worth your time. We're going to wait just another minute or so to give people a chance to sign on, and then we'll get started. I will point out to you, and I will put in the chat, that we are going to send you a copy of the slides and a link to the recording. Also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them either in the chat or the Q&A. Unless they're really pressing, we'll probably wait till the end so that we're not interrupting Jessica a lot during her presentation, and also extending the time over the hour that we hope to spend. So I think I'll go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to everybody. My name is Anita Kayat. I am a SCORE mentor and have been for many years. So I'm going to give you information about SCORE, and then we'll move on to Jessica Baldwin and her presentation on your website. So our mission at SCORE is to foster vibrant small business communities, and we do this through mentoring and education. We hope that everyone who is a small business owner has the support and the resources they need to be successful as a business owner. We know that small businesses drive the national economy and also the economy in Cleveland by creating jobs and building wealth. And so we know that small businesses like yours are very vital to the community, and we're delighted that we have the opportunity to help you grow. SCORE is the largest network of free volunteer small business mentors. We have more than 250 chapters across the United States. So no matter what stage your business is in, whether you're starting out or you're trying to grow your business, or maybe you're trying to sell your business or exit, we're happy to help you, and we can find someone who will have the skill and the knowledge to help you. So if someone in the Cleveland office doesn't have the appropriate industrial background, we have 10,000 other mentors across the nation that we can call on. So we have clients from all walks of life and all backgrounds. About 10% of our clients are veterans, and more than half of our clients are women. So we're happy about that. The resources that we provide are mentoring, usually one-on-one or maybe two-on-one mentoring. If I have a client and I don't feel quite comfortable that I know everything that I need, I will ask someone with different expertise to join me in mentoring that client. We do resilience training, webinars like the one that we're presenting today. And one of our most valuable resources is our website. So I encourage you to go there and take a look at all the resources that are available there. Our work is supported by the Small Business Administration, but it's also supported by many businesses in the Cleveland area that would like us to help small businesses succeed. So we are very appreciative of that. This is a snapshot of our website. If you go here, you can click on this link, find a mentor, which will open up a short form and give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your business, so that when that comes into our office, it's easy for us to match you up with the appropriate mentor. So take the time to mention what your business is, and we will try to accommodate you. You can also find workshops, both live upcoming workshops and recorded workshops. And then we have a library full of tools and templates, articles, blogs, all sorts of things. So take time, go to the website, take a look at it, and take advantage of the resources available. Now I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Jessica. And maybe you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, Jessica.
Yep, I'll have an intro slide here in a second.
Okay.
Okay, hey everybody. I'm Jessica, and I want to welcome you to the Plan Your Website for Online Success webinar. So here's what we're going to cover today. We'll discuss why planning your website is so important. We're going to cover what we call a minimum viable launch point. We're going to provide you with a framework to help plan your website's foundation. So to think through your website goals, your feature needs, who your audience is, and your website's content. And we'll touch on a few additional considerations that you should make regarding your website's mobile functionality, tracking and analytics, and marketing. And we'll discuss how to choose the right website platform or provider. And then we'll finish up with some time for questions. So I'm your host today. I am co-founder at CardSetter, and we've helped hundreds of website owners take their visions online with our easy-to-use website platform and service. Prior to CardSetter, I owned my own online business. It was called billings365.com, and that was a website for events and things to do in the small city of Billings, Montana. In that business, I hired someone to build my first website for me. So I do understand what it's like to be on the client side of the website building process. I also spent 3 years in a website development agency where we did WordPress websites for clients. So I've really been on all sides of websites. I've been a small business owner who needed a site built and, operated a business from their website. Later, I got involved in building other people's websites, and now at CardSetter, we're powering websites with our own software. So I know I need a website. This is where people start their website journey. I know I need a website, but then it's really easy to go down a rabbit hole of all sorts of questions and thoughts. Where should I build it? Where should I host it? I need to get a domain. Someone says Wix is bad for SEO. Someone else in a Facebook group says I need to build it myself on WordPress, or I'm a total failure. My friend's nephew is kind of a techie, and she says maybe he could build it for me. Maybe I can find a template and start there. So on and on this line of thinking goes, but it's just not the right place to start. You can't make any of those decisions until you have a good website plan in place. So why is planning so important? Well, when you plan ahead, you're going to have a better framework for making decisions that are specific to you, your business, and your customer. So whether you decide to build your website yourself or you decide to work with a professional, planning ahead is going to help you gain clarity on what you and your customers really need from your website. So you'll design your website around the needs of your business and your customers instead of trying to fit your business into a specific template or platform. It's going to help you prioritize what's most important. It'll help you make better choices for your specific needs. It will actually save you time and money, and it will streamline the entire process so you can actually launch your website faster. Now, before we get into planning, I want to talk about what we call a minimum viable launch. So in working with hundreds of business owners on their websites, I've seen a lot of the projects just completely stall out because the business owner will be kind of stuck on a specific page or section of content they want for their website. So just as an example, you might be a coach or consultant, and in your grand vision for your website, you want to offer a course. This is a common occurrence. So people want to have a course, but they start their website project before they have all their course materials together. And so often this delays the launch of the website because they're putting the content together, recording videos, making workbooks and guides, which is a very time-consuming undertaking. So I would encourage you, if that were your predicament, to get the base of the website up even before the course is done. So if you're a coach or consultant, you're going to highlight your personal brand. You're going to include information about your background and expertise. You might even start a blog to start generating traffic. And you could have a holder page up for the course that says that the course is coming soon. Then when the course is complete, you can add that to the website later. So the minimum viable launch approach says, what information do I have available today that I can use to get my website up online? And then I know I'm going to improve my website over time. Your website is always going to be a work in progress. It is not this static thing that you put up and then it's done and you go about your day and, let it be. You're always going to be making improvements to it. So you want to take on that mindset. So the point of planning is not to plan to a point of perfection or to have absolutely everything you ever envision up on your website. It's to get you a good base so you can get your website launched and then improve it from there. Okay, so we're about to get into the first steps for planning your website. And we're going to go through the big and important pieces. And then we do have a more detailed website planning workbook that you can fill out. Our goal today is to be sure you have a good grasp of the of what's most important. And then the planner will allow you to put that into greater detail. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Anita, it doesn't look like I have the ability to chat to everyone. So if you wouldn't mind copying that link and posting it to everyone, that would be great.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so first things first, we want to define the goals for the website. So what is your website's purpose? You might be thinking, well, it's to get customers, of course. And you're right, but that's oversimplifying things a bit. So in reality, our website needs to attract and engage our target audience. It needs to educate them about our products and services, and it needs to drive some percentage of them to convert, to become, leads or customers. But you want to try to get a bit more specific on these goals for your business. So I'll engage my target audience on my website by, that could be providing relevant content that is specific to your audience and industry. I'll educate website visitors about my business by including testimonials and case studies, having a robust FAQ section, maybe including a product video. My customers will convert by. That could be booking an appointment, calling you, making a purchase. If I ran a landscaping company, I might say I'll engage my target audience on my website by publishing blog posts about plants that thrive in my area's climate. I'll educate potential customers about my business by developing before and after photo galleries with corresponding client testimonials. My customers will convert by requesting an estimate through an online form. So you want to define these goals and then plan your website strategy around achieving them. So that brings us to feature and functionality needs. So what does your website need to do to help achieve those goals that you've identified in the previous step? Will you engage your target audience with relevant blog posts? Then you're going to need a blog feature. Do you want to capture email addresses? Then you're going to need a lead capture form on your website, right? Does your website visitor need to be able to book appointment with you? Then you're going to need online scheduling. Are you selling products? Then you're going to need e-commerce. Do you want to offer a membership area or a course? So we want to start thinking about what the website needs to do and which features are going to allow you to do those things. Now, some features may actually come in the form of what we would call a third-party integration. So for example, if you plan to have an email newsletter, and you want to have a sign up on your website, then that's going to come likely from an integration between your email provider, and your website. So if you were using something like MailChimp or ConvertKit as your e-newsletter software, then you would integrate a form from MailChimp on your website where people could fill in their information. And once they do, it submits their info into your list within MailChimp. So that's a case where you tie those two softwares together and functionality through a third-party integration. You might already be using certain technology that can integrate with your website. So for example, if you were taking payments in person using something like Square, then you might want your website to also integrate with Square as your payment processor. So you want to note those types of things as features that you want for your website. Okay, so we've defined our goals and we're starting to get a picture of what the website needs to do. Now we want to think about website content. And this is a really big, important piece of the puzzle. And anyone who builds websites for other people will tell you that this is where projects tend to stall out. Because if you haven't thought through your content before beginning the website, the entire process is going to move much, much slower. So before you choose a platform, before you select a provider, before you worry about what your website will look like, you must plan your website content. And the first step here is to define the ideal customer, write a key benefit statement, and decide on the website's call to action. Okay, so first let's describe the ideal customer. Here we're thinking about who the website is for and what are their needs. I know a lot of times as business owners, it's easy to think of your website as being for you, right? You spend a lot of time planning your business, thinking about it, and you might be thinking, this is what I want to say on my website. This is what I want to say about myself and my business. But really, your website is for your ideal customer, right? The people that you want to attract to it. So you want to make decisions for your website that you believe are going to appeal to that person. So you want to define who that person is, right? So I like to start that exercise by using a simple fill in the blank statement. It says, as a type of person, I want some goal so that some reason. So you would complete that from the perspective of your ideal customer, and as it pertains to your industry or business. So a health coach might say, think of their ideal customer like this. As a busy working parent, I find it challenging to find time for fitness, but I want to feel fit and healthy so that I have more energy to play with my kids after work. So every health coach is not going to complete that in the same way, right? They have a different clientele that they specialize in working with. So they're going to fill that out differently. So from there, then you can come up with your key benefit. So why is your business the best choice for that ideal customer that you identified? Our health coach might say something like, feel better and have more energy for the things that matter. And then she could have some support text that says, you don't have to redesign your life around endless workouts that you hate. I'll help you establish simple habits to improve your health and fitness without a huge time commitment. So the ideal customer statement is really just an exercise. It's something to help you think about your ideal customer and then make choices on your website that you think are going to appeal to that person. But the key benefit statement is text that you would use on your website, and in other marketing materials. So you're telling them why you're the best choice to suit their needs. So now that we know who the website is talking to and we know how to communicate the value of our business to them, we want to define what we want them to do when they visit the website. So this is your call to action. And what that is going to depend on your business and the goals that you set above. So you might want them to buy a specific product from your online store, book an appointment with you, contact you for more information, request a quote, sign up for your course. So what is the number one thing that you want them to do? What is that first step that they're going to take to becoming your customer, right? So we want our website to help our ideal customer take that desired action. So next we'll talk about planning the homepage around those elements. And I'm going to provide just kind of a general framework that we start with. And it's applicable to many types of businesses, but of course, these are not, hard rules. Your strategy is going to be specific to your business, but hopefully this framework will kind of help get you thinking in the right direction. So the reason I wanted to go through ideal customer, key benefit, and call to action is because these are really important for your homepage and really throughout the website. So if we want to focus on what I would call the hero section or the first section of the homepage that you see before you start scrolling. So this is where we want to kind of instantly communicate with our ideal customer and tell them how we can help them. And we want to get their attention so they want to dig in further on the website, right? So I like to lead with a headline that relates to the key benefit statement, and then include a bit of support copy to back up that key benefit, followed by the call to action. So, we're telling them how we can help them. We're providing some support as to how we do that. And then we're telling them what to do when they're ready to move forward and, work with our brand. I also like to include testimonials someplace on the homepage because I feel like they do a good job of also communicating your key benefit that you provide to your customers from their point of view and from their own language. People who visit your website, they know that you're using marketing copy to sell to them. They get that you're always going to be putting your best foot forward and tell them what they want to hear. But if you actually have real testimonials from people who are, reiterating what you're saying in their own language, that can be a really good and powerful way to build trust and back up those key benefits. Okay, so, and on testimonials, of course, if you have a brand new business, you might not have testimonials to start for your website, but that's one of those things, just like going back to that minimum viable launch. I know my website should have testimonials, but I don't have those available. I'm not going to delay the launch of the website because I don't have that. I'll just add those later, right? If you're an e-commerce company, you might take a slightly different approach. Here, product sales are really your website's primary goal. So you might want to organize your homepage a little bit differently and lead the site with products. So if you're building, an e-commerce store or an online boutique or anything like that, you're probably curating the products in that store based on that ideal customer that you've identified. So you can actually use the products to grab attention and draw people in. So you might want to have, featured items at the top, what's most popular or seasonal or things like that. Another example would be if you're a content-focused business. So you might be publishing a blog, a newsletter, podcast, all of the above. You're focused on building an audience and then, maybe monetizing through sponsorships or ads, or maybe you're going to sell them a course or an ebook in the future. So in that case, I would probably lead with content because my goal here is to get to engage with the audience, really build some trust and make sure that they are landing on content that they like and value. They don't know if they want to subscribe to my newsletter or give me their email until they know they like my content. So I'm going to lead with content that I think they're going to like, that's going to draw them in and get them reading. Okay, so next we're going to look at a few real world examples. Of course, the sites I'm showing you aren't perfect because there's no such thing, but I think they have a lot of good things going for them in terms of what we've discussed so far. So Brit Smart Security says keeping your family secure and connected. And then they say smart home security and smart home installation in Columbus and Medina, Ohio. They're communicating the motivation for securing your home, right? Keeping your family safe. And they're doing that not only with the words they've chosen here, but also with the photo that they've chosen. So based on what we've discussed already regarding, ideal customer, key benefit, call to action, making choices based on that, you instantly understand who they're trying to communicate with here, right? It's very apparent. Now, that doesn't mean they're excluding single people who want to secure their homes, but they know that families are often the ones contacting them. And so they're just trying to encourage more of that behavior from that customer type. The Spiked Olive is a brick and mortar olive oil boutique, but they also sell their products online, and they aim to balance both audiences on their website. So they say enjoy artisanal oils on tap. And then foodies know the importance of keeping a variety of oils in their cupboards. I actually think that's the strongest piece of copy here. And I like that statement because I feel like it sort of appeals to the audience's desire to be in that foodie club. And you might have a thought after you read that, like, what, do I have enough oils in my cupboards? Like, what flavors might I be missing out on? I just have basic olive oil. Like, what else should I have? Right. And then this site, normally I would say pick one primary call to action and try to push your audience towards that action. But they sell their products online and in a physical store. So they do have two calls to action, shop online and shop our tap room. So this is one of those cases where, it's okay to bend the normal rules that you would try to follow. This example I chose because this business has put into practice the minimum viable launch. So this company is creating a clothing rental service for baby clothes, but they don't have all of their uh, fulfillment process worked out. They're still really working out the details of the business. But in the meantime, they've put up a landing page to describe what is coming. And then a simple email sign up form on the site, so that people who are interested in that service can provide their email, and then they'll have a list of people to notify when the service actually launches. And then they also have this nice how it works section. So describing exactly how the service is going to work when it's ready. And I feel like this is a very neglected strategy for a lot of business owners, but I think it's really useful on a website because it removes some ambiguity with the website visitor. So if you tell them, what's going to happen next, it makes it easier for them to take that call to action. So if you're a consultant and you want them to book an initial free consultation, it can be helpful to say, step one, book your free 20-minute consultation. Step two, we're going to meet and I'm going to get a better idea of your exact needs. Step three, I'm going to provide you with an action plan to review. And if you like it, we'll start working together. So that just simple 1, 2, 3, this is how my service works. It just makes it much more clear and makes it much easier for the visitor to take that initial step of booking the consultation. Age of Montessori is a Montessori certification program, and what I like on their website is their use of testimonials. So I think they do a good job of making the case for why you should choose Age of Montessori over their competitors by using testimonials from their current and past students. And even though we're mostly talking about home pages, I wanted to show you how they carry some of those strategies into the interior pages. So this is a landing page for one of their courses. And again, they're supporting the content with the use of testimonials. So when someone hits this page and they're trying to decide if the course is right for them, Age of Montessori is saying, this person who is like you loved this course and got great value from it. And again, they're providing a nice how it works section that is specific to the course, along with FAQs to help assure their prospects and make it easier again to take that call to action because they're addressing any questions or concerns or reservations people might have while they're on this page. Okay, so we've covered a lot of examples, and the reason I wanted to spend so much time on this piece is because when you think about your website's goals, your ideal customer, the key benefit statement, and what you want the website visitor to do, it will not only help you develop the homepage, but it will help you strategize the content for the rest of the website. And again, our website planner, which you can download, will help you think through the other pages of your site. Okay, so content marketing. So we get asked the question, how often should I update my website, or what type of content do I need to have? Now, when I'm talking about content marketing, of course, your website needs all of the basic content, like you need your homepage, you need your services page or product pages, depending on what you offer, about page, contact page. But when I'm talking about content marketing, I'm talking about producing content on your website with the goal to attract and engage your target audience to the site, right? So that could be publishing blog posts or videos or audio clips, infographics, content with the intent to kind of attract and hold your audience's attention, to get them spending some time on your website. And at CardSetter, we are big proponents of having a content marketing strategy for your site. It helps with your website's SEO. It gives people a reason to visit and return to your website. It gives you content that you can use to post on your social media or in your e-newsletter. And it has a lot of long-term lasting benefits. But we know this can be a daunting task. Writing a blog post every week can be really hard to fit in with everything else you have going on. And I see a lot of business owners or website owners add a blog to their website with good intention, to blog regularly, but as they get busy in their business, it's one of the first things to fall by the wayside. So I take a little bit different approach. I like to start with what I call content collections. So coming up with like 3 to 5 articles or more, if you're able, that you can kind of organize into a guide or a special resource for your audience. So, what would be valuable to your ideal customer, create topics related to your industry, and then, create a comprehensive guide on your website that includes those articles. So in this example, our website owner is providing a comprehensive adventure photography guide. It's made up of 4 key articles. So think about all the ways that this content could be used by the website owner. They could promote the full guide and drive traffic to the landing page, which they could use in, organic social media posts or paid ads. They could also take each individual article and promote it on its own in the same way. They could grab little snippets, tips, quotes from each article and make those into Facebook or Instagram posts, or they could re-record the content in video format that they could use on YouTube or TikTok. So I like to think of your website as your content strategy home base. So start the content there and then plan external activities from there. Because if you only do social media content, it's really easy for some reason website owners understand the value of having a social media strategy, a content strategy for social, but will neglect their website. And if you do that, then you're missing out on the SEO benefits, and more. And the nice thing about this approach is you can take it in more of a project basis. So you're like, okay, I can wrap my head around getting, these 3 to 5 articles done, getting them up on the website, using them in my social media, my newsletter, and then maybe I'm going to start a new collection, a few weeks later or a couple months later, whatever the case may be. But this way you have current relevant content on your website. It doesn't look out of date because you don't have a blog post that was made like a year ago. You still have good relevant content, but it's easier to keep up with than trying to write a blog post every week. Okay, so one more example of this. This would be for like a wedding planner. So of course, a wedding planner would love to reach couples at that early planning stage. So on their website, they could have a collection of articles that's geared towards the newly engaged. A checklist, questions for vendors, tips for what to tackle on your own versus what to leave to a professional. So this makes the wedding planner a valuable resource to her prospective clients. And if they land on one of her articles and come back to read more, she's increasing her chances of being top of mind when that couple is ready to hire a planner, right? Like, are they going to start Google searching and randomly look for some wedding planner, or are they going to contact the one where they've been spending a bunch of time on their website? She's probably going to get a good chance of, at least having that initial consultation and being considered for the job if they've been on her website multiple times consuming her content. Okay, so we've covered the big and important essentials on website planning. And again, I encourage you to download the free planner, which is going to go into more detail, and that link is in the chat. And I have just a few other elements that I want you to think about when you're planning out your website. And the first one is mobile. So over 55% of worldwide website traffic occurs on mobile devices. And this can actually be higher for many different websites. I mentioned I used to own my business, billings365.com. That was an event calendar and kind of an entertainment blog. And I had over 70% of my traffic occurring on mobile devices. And that happened over time. So, I started that business in 2009, and PCs and computers were still a popular way to browse the internet. Smartphones were just kind of coming into play. And my traffic progressively went more and more mobile. But one mistake that's easy to make is that we're constantly evaluating our website from the desktop. And that makes a lot of sense, right? You're working, and so you're at your computer, and that's how you're reviewing your website. Or in my case, with the case of Billings 365, I started with a lot of website traffic coming from desktop. And so that's how I was prioritizing content and information and how the content would be laid out. And then I had to make adjustments, right, as we moved more towards a mobile world. So simple things like I used to have a rotating slider at the top of the website, and it would rotate through stories and featured events. And I found that mobile users weren't waiting around, like they were not going to spend any time paying attention to that rotator. And with 70% of my traffic coming from mobile devices, it didn't make a lot of sense to use my best real estate on something that most people were scrolling past, right? So I had to change the layout of the website to accommodate the mobile user base. So that is something, as you start operating your business and you start looking at your analytics, consider, would I lay this out differently if I knew most people were viewing this content on mobile? Could I improve the experience for them? A few things that I like to focus on for mobile are simple menus and navigation. You don't want to have a bunch of deep drop downs, for example. People don't want to take multiple thumb trips to the menu to find what they're looking for. Scrolling over clicking. We're all very accustomed to scrolling through social media these days. It's an intuitive action on the mobile device. So it might be better to, make important information something people scroll to instead of having to dig in. Keeping the design simple so that you have faster load times on mobile, making important information easy to find, encouraging more content discovery. Mobile users tend to have shorter session durations, and we want to increase the amount of time our prospects are spending with our brand, right? We want to deepen our engagement with them. And so one of the things that's useful on mobile is to have good content, making that content easy to find, perhaps serving up some related content at the bottom of articles to encourage people to click into the next article or whatever, just to get them on the website a little bit longer. And then choosing a platform that makes it easy to edit and preview the mobile view. This is less of a concern these days. Most platforms have a way to preview and edit the mobile view of your website. But just again, you might want to make modifications that are specific to the mobile view to optimize that experience for your mobile users. And then analytics. If you're putting all of this effort into a website, then you want to be sure you're tracking your website activity. And you can do that with Google Analytics, which is free. With analytics installed, you can see how many people are visiting your website, how long they're staying there, which pages they're visiting most often, where they're coming from. So if they're getting there through a Google search, social media, etc. So Google Analytics is really where you can figure out how your website is performing. And we don't have too much time to get into this too deeply, but it is an important piece. The most important thing is that you install it from day one of launch, because it can't track anything prior to the date that it is installed on the website. So you want to be able to see how your traffic grows. So you want to be sure you have that installed on your site. If someone's building your website for you, they'll be able to install it for you. And if you're building your own website, Google will have tutorials for the different website platforms, and the platform you're using should also have directions on how to do that. Okay, marketing. So a few quick notes here. I launched this great website, but I'm not getting any customers. It's really easy for website owners to feel this way. However, your website is not a build it and they will come asset. It's going to take additional work on and off your website for it to start acquiring customers. There is absolutely no such thing as launching a website, hoping for people to find it, even if you have it SEO optimized, and expecting it to generate sales all on its own. So you want to think of your website as one element in your overall marketing strategy. You're going to need to help drive traffic to the website through content, social media, online or traditional ads, and more. There's an old rule of marketing that says it takes up to 7 touch points with a brand before someone is ready to take action with that brand. And today, with so many messages that compete for our attention on a daily basis, that number is definitely higher than 7. So you want to continue taking marketing actions to get your brand in front of your target audience multiple times. And you want to look at your analytics before making changes to your website. So what I tend to see is people will launch their website, they'll have it up for a little while, they might get a few hundred people to the site, and they'll say, well, it's been up a couple months, a few hundred people have visited, nobody signed up for my thing. Well, again, it's going to be very rare for someone to hit your website one time and be so compelled that they're going to sign up right away. And if you think about your own behavior as a consumer, you know this is true. You very rarely see an ad for a product or service, hit the website one time, and purchase that product or service instantly, right? Typically, you hit the website, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I might come back to that later. Then you go about your day. Like you might be scrolling through your phone while also watching TV, or you're at your kid's ball game and you don't really have time to dig into it. So you're not really actively, paying attention in that moment. And that's how most people are, right? So you have to have a plan that's going to get your brand in front of them over and over again until they are actually ready to convert. And rather than deciding that your website needs changes because you're not getting customers from it, it's more likely that your overall marketing plan needs more effort. So you don't want to be, changing the text and the button placement and the images on your website until you know that you have a marketing plan that is getting people to your website over and over again. Only then, if you're getting people, a large number of people to your website and there's lots of repeat visitors, only then do you know, like, it's either working or not working, and some adjustments might need to be made. Okay, so platforms and providers. So now that you have a good plan in place and you know what your website needs to do, you can go back to the different platforms and consider which one's going to suit your specific needs. And this list of questions is really just for your own evaluation criteria. There's no correct answer to any of these questions. You have to be comfortable with how the platform or website service that you're going to sign up for addresses these things. So the first one, will it grow and adapt with my business? We talked about the fact that your business is going to grow and change. Your website's going to need to grow and change with it. Do you feel like the option you're looking at is going to give you that future flexibility? Do I want to spend my time or my money, and what is the value? If you're building your own website, you're going to spend more of your time. And if someone builds your website for you, you're going to spend more of your money. You shouldn't discount the value of your time. A lot of times in your business might grow faster when your time is spent in other areas versus, trying to do absolutely everything yourself. So that is something that you want to consider before you go down the full build it myself path. Do the platform's features match your requirements? Now that you know what features you need, you can look at the platforms you're considering and make sure that they adequately address those requirements. I would encourage you to really think through some of those features and how you want them to behave when you're looking into this. Because we see a lot of people dig in on their website and then they'll get to a certain stage and they'll be like, well, I really want my e-commerce to function this particular way. They have everything done and then they're getting to that last piece and they're like, they find out that the platform they're on doesn't quite do it exactly how they want it to. So you want to think through some of that stuff before you sign up and try to look at, how the platform manages those features to your specifications before signing up for it. Are hosting and SSL and other essentials included? Your website is a compilation of digital files. They have to be stored somewhere, just like your image files have to live in a folder on your computer. Your website files have to live in a file somewhere online so they can be accessed. So if you're building your own website, and you're paying a monthly or annual subscription fee, typically your hosting is going to be included in that fee. You don't have to worry about any separate hosting. If you're building your own website or someone is building your website for you on a platform like WordPress or Drupal or Joomla, those websites have to be uploaded to a host so they can be accessed. And if someone else is building your website, they will probably set that hosting up for you. Or they may hand the website over to you, or if you're doing your own website on one of those platforms, you would need to set up hosting. And SSL is a security certificate on your domain. So anytime you see HTTPS or you see the little lock icon in the browser bar, that means a website is secured with SSL. It protects your visitors' information if they're going to be filling out any forms or making a payment of any kind on your website. It's basically required these days by Google. A lot of times you'll hit a website or try to hit a website and you'll be served up with a warning that says this website is not secure. So you want to have an SSL so you don't add any of that friction to your site. If you pay a monthly or annual subscription, it may be covered in your platform. If it's not covered, you can register an SSL wherever you register your domain. Do you have access to make edits on your own? If you're building your own website, of course you have access to edit your own website. If someone's building your website for you, this can vary. There's high-end agencies that require all changes go through the agency because they want to make sure everything stays cohesive. And there's plenty of businesses that are happy with that arrangement. They don't have someone in-house to, manage the website, so they're happy to pay their agency or a freelancer to make those changes for them. You may also find freelancers or agencies that will give you partial access. So you can add products, you can add new blog posts, you can maybe change text and images, but they'll lock you out of the ability to add plugins or mess with the security or change the design because they're trying to prevent you from, breaking the site. And then some might give you complete unfettered access, so you can do whatever you want with the site. So that varies, and you just have to make sure that you are comfortable with the setup. What is the cost of future change requests? If you're building your own website, you're investing your future time in maintaining and improving the website. If someone is building your website for you, how do they handle change requests? If something takes 15 minutes, do they still charge you for the full hour? What's their turnaround time on changes, things like that. How is support handled, and is there a cost? Different subscription products will have different support levels in their different pricing tiers. If one has 48-hour turnaround and email only support, do you feel like you have 48 hours to wait if you need help with your website? If someone built your website for you, how do they handle support? If your website gets hacked, were they responsible for keeping it secure in the first place? Is there going to be a cost to unhack it? Things like that. And then what happens if you want to switch? So there can be all kinds of reasons you want to change providers in the future. You might be unhappy with your current provider and you want to go somewhere else for better service. There might be a feature on a new platform that would really benefit your business, so it makes sense to switch. All sorts of reasons. So the thing to note is that whenever you're switching between platforms, so if you're going from Squarespace to Wix or Wix to Shopify or Shopify to CardSetter to WordPress or whatever, whenever you switch platforms, your design must be reconfigured to the platform you're switching to. All of these platforms have different technologies that they use in the way that they display and format your design. And so you can't take a Squarespace design and move it over to Wix in its entirety. So the important thing is that you want to know you can take your website content with you. Because if you've added, hundreds of products or blog posts to the website, you don't want to have to manually move that content if you switch. You want to know you can export it and take it with you. Different providers have different policies around that. Some don't let you do an export. Some only let you export certain content and not other pieces of content. And some will do a full export that you can take with you and upload into another platform. So that's something you want to look into before signing up, because you don't want to discover that later when you need to make the switch. And then you're like, oh, how am I going to move all these hundreds of blog posts over? So your options for getting a new website have traditionally fallen into two categories. You can build it yourself, using a platform like Squarespace or Shopify or Wix, These are often desirable because they have a lower upfront monetary cost. However, they do come in a larger cost of a website owner's time. And you have to decide how you value that time. It might take you much longer to build your own website. And does that delay the launch of your business? And what is the cost of, launching your or your business 3 months later than you'd like to? You do want to think about that when you're going down that path. You also, are responsible for everything here. So you want to make sure that you know how to organize your content, implement any necessary integrations, make sure the site looks good in the template you've chosen. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you could hire an agency or a freelancer to build your website for you. WordPress generally tends to be the platform used in this bucket, although there are people that you can find to customize your Squarespace or Wix or Shopify website these days as well. The benefit here is that someone's going to take care of all of the technical aspects and design work for you. It's going to save you a bunch of time. Um, you know, these people, hopefully, if you're working with an experienced agency or freelancer, they've built many websites. So they've been through a lot. They bring a lot of experience and expertise to the table. So if you're saying like, oh, I want, my website to work a certain way, I want to have this type of scheduling. And then after they schedule, I want this to happen. They're going to have solutions for that because they probably ran into this kind of stuff before. So they bring a lot of, value and expertise. Of course, the downside is it can be cost prohibitive for a lot of new businesses because there is generally a larger upfront cost for going this route. And then my company, we kind of fall into the middle. So we have our own website platform that makes it easy for our customers to edit their website so they can add blog posts, add products, things like that. But we do all of the design and setup for them. And to date, we have been doing that through service. So people fill out our website questionnaire and then we create the website for them. And then it's turned over to them to edit, add content, all of that. We're actually working on our own website builder that will remove the need for us to manually create the website. So people will sign up for their website, answer questions, and then their website will be built by the software based on their answers to those questions. So we're kind of trying to fill that space in between those two options with a third option for people to choose. All right, with that, I will open it up to questions. The link to the planner is up on the screen as well, so you can download that to help you create your plan.
Okay, we do have a question here. Let me see. I plan to use several print-on-demand companies. I will have about 5 different target markets and 8 different types on things I would be selling. Cups, shirts, blankets, etc. Should I have about 40 different landing pages?
So in that case, I guess I would determine how different the needs of those 5 different target markets are. I could see potentially having a landing page for each market and then including, the types of products that you can provide to that target market. So I would still have, one website with your primary offering, the primary thing that you do communicated on the homepage, and then allow them to pick their need or industry, however you would have that set up. And then they could go into a page that is, specific to them. And that would also allow you to use those landing pages in your marketing if you're targeting specific audiences. You can run ads and things like that to get them to land on the correct page.
Okay, has Card Center worked with startups that want international businesses as the client base? Also, what is the general time frame of website creation from first contact to Card Center to website going live? For the platforms and provider slides, are those questions your company can answer and help your client with?
Yeah, so at Card Setter, we have worked with startups. We can do businesses that work with, international clients and things like that. We actually are not taking on new design projects at this time as we are completely focused on building our websites, our new software, which we hope to launch this summer. So traditionally, we have most of our websites launch in as little as 2 weeks or as long as some have gone like 6 weeks. But most of them have launched within the first month of sign up. And then platforms and providers, you would really want to evaluate those things on your own. So if you were working with a agency or freelancer, you want to ask those questions of them, and make sure that you're comfortable with, their answer or how they handle those things. Or if you're looking at the different platforms where you might build your own website, you just want to make sure that you're comfortable with how they handle those things.
Any quick general suggestions for nonprofit websites?
Yeah, so with nonprofits, I would still take a very similar approach. So when I say like ideal customer, key benefit, etc., you have a little bit different you don't consider the people visiting your website customers generally, but you do have a target audience. So you can think of it as your target audience. So if you're trying to appeal to donors, you're going to say the key benefit of what your organization does and what's going to motivate them to donate, right? So, you know, this is who we help and how we help them. You can be a part of the solution by donating today or whatever the case may be. And then I do understand you also probably have a audience that you serve that's maybe a little bit different. So of course you also need to get people into your services, and you can balance those two things with how you lay out the content on the site. So that would be one of those cases where you might break the rule of one call to action. You want to move your donors into the donate bucket, and you want to get people who need the services into browsing the services. So you might kind of word your copy in a way to like have, donate today or explore our services kind of thing.
I have had an Etsy site for a decade or so and have not had a great deal of success. Do you think having an unaffiliated website is advisable?
So I think that a website can give you more opportunities and more flexibility on how to present your brand. You could still push people to Etsy to make the purchase. But that way you can market your business in a way that's not going to like when they land on your website, they're not going to see suggestions for other products from other vendors and things like that. You can really hone in on your products, and then you could use those the pages on your website in different marketing campaigns to help drive results. But if you still wanted to push them to Etsy to make the purchase, you could do that. Or you could also offer, purchases directly through the website instead of pushing them over to Etsy. But in either case, I'd say, as I kind of got on my soapbox about that marketing piece. And that is so essential, whether you're selling on Etsy or you're selling from your website or whatever. It's really like having that strategy to use your website within a grander marketing plan that's going to drive results. So you never want to think like, I'm just going to, spend time and money on my website. I'm going to put it up and then people will find it and they will sign up. It just won't work. You're going to need a marketing plan to promote that website and to get in front of your target audience, through social media, through ads, through getting their emails into an e-newsletter and then regularly reaching out via email so your brand is in front of them.
Okay, well, I think we've answered all the questions. Well, someone does want to know when Card Setter is going to be ready to take on new customers. I assume they can access your website to find out that information.
Yep. So if you download that planner, you will land into our email list. You can definitely, unsubscribe at any time. You're not obligated to stay in the list, but if you do stay in the list, we will be sending out announcements of when the software is done. When that software is done, we will be shifting primarily to the website builder software that we've built. So I don't anticipate that we would have web design as a service at that point, as we are trying to transition to that service. However, ours will work a lot differently than the others out there, as we plan to make it so that you build your website by answering questions about your business. So your website is generated based on those answers. So you don't necessarily have to start in the more complicated, choose a template, and then try to figure everything out on your own. We're working hard to make that a lot easier.
Okay, well, I think the hour is getting late. We appreciate